It was ghosts? It was ghosts. Alright, strange noises. I'm going to turn this down a little bit. What kind of strange noises are you hearing? It's a bit hard to describe, in truth. It sounds like a constant shuffling sound, like something is moving around. Like something is moving around. A shuffling sound. Yeah, a very loud one, too. It's always distracting to me while I'm trying to do my paperwork. But wouldn't a real ghost make no sounds at all? What do you mean? Well, for the sake of playing devil's advocate, and not because I believe in ghosts, which I don't. Let's assume for a second that ghosts really are causing those noises. Ghosts are incorporeal, right? That's how the legends go. How then would a ghost be able to make shuffling noises? It's not like they need to walk or anything like that. They can just go through walls. It's a conspiracy, I tell you. Right, you gotta remember those famous ghost conspiracies, yeah. Look, I don't know how they do it, okay? All I know is I've been hearing spooky noises from the next door for the past week. When I check out Reggie's chambers, there's nobody there. It really does sound like something out of a cheesy horror film. I really do not wish to be the one to point out the obvious, but I'd wager that it's merely your mind playing tricks on you. I'm not delusional, if that's what you're insinuating, boy. And yet you're claiming a ghost committed murder with a straight face. I know what I've been hearing for the past few nights. Put anybody in my chambers during the night, so they'd hear the same thing. You might want to try telling that to Detective Skye. She was investigating far into the night yesterday. She heard no such noises coming from the crime scene. It's a conspiracy, I tell you. Because whoever was living down there is now dead. That's my theory. You already said that. Still, I do wonder what it is that Judge Eerie has actually been hearing. Why the noises suddenly stopped after the murder. In any event, I know for certain that it couldn't be Archie making those noises. How late into the night are you hearing those? Are you hearing those noises? Well, I don't really pay attention to the time when I stay late. Usually a bit preoccupied with other affairs. That doesn't sound ominous at all. However, I were to make a guess, I'd say it's around 7 p.m. when I start hearing those noises. That is fairly late. Do you have any suspicions about who was causing the noises? Have you not been listening to me, boy? It was ghosts. I meant aside from that. Ghosts, I tell you. Nobody else really comes to mind. I've usually been all alone when I start to hear the noises in the night. Even the courthouse's janitors have usually clocked out by that point. In other words, nobody would be around to make those noises. Or to back up your claims that such noises even exist to begin with. Do you want to come to my office later tonight, boy? It'll verify my story pretty quickly if you do. With you inactive for weeks. I believe I'll pass on that offer. What's important is what you can prove now. Hearing mysterious noises in the middle of the night when everyone else is gone. Is it truly a coincidence that nobody is able to back up Judge Eerie's story? Does it point to something far more sinister? In any event, it's clear that the defendant cannot back up his claims. We cannot reach a conclusion until more definitive proof is found. Oh, just a moment, Your Honor. Hear me out. I know who's responsible. Just let me explain. I'm fairly certain there are much better explanations than that, Judge Eerie. What other explanations could there be? I'm telling you, I've heard and seen the signs. There are ghosts here. You keep saying there are signs pointing to supernatural activity. Yet outside of earlier easily explained noises, you have yet to actually tell us what they are. Oh, yeah, well. Just the other day, my sandwich went missing from my desk when I went to the bathroom. Then the day after that, the lights started flickering on and off. Then after that, a bucket of water was suddenly placed in my door frame. That just seems like someone playing tricks. That just seems like someone bullying you. How do you explain all that if it's not ghosts? Well, for starters, the sandwich is probably because a janitor got hungry. The lights are likely due to faulty wiring. And the bucket of water is likely because somebody just doesn't like you. Lies, all lies. What's it take to bring this guy back down to reality? Let's think about it from your perspective, then. What purpose would a ghost fulfill by haunting you in particular? Is it obvious? It's because I'm onto them. Onto what exactly? Their existence, boy. They don't want anyone to know. They want to stay in these shadows for eternity. I've known about them for a while. They must be able to take their revenge on me. Oh, brother. I've had absolutely enough of this foolishness. Ghosts don't exist. Why am I the only one who sees? Why will none of you listen? Judge Eerie, control yourself. In any event, I do not believe pressing this point will get us anywhere. Let's move on. That's something we can both agree on, Your Honor. You hired an investigator. Not just any investigator, a paranormal investigator. Wanted to make sure I got the right person for the right job. I think the main thing is that you hired someone to look into a judge's chambers. You know, without his permission? Ah, well, about that. Indeed. What exactly do they call an action like that again? Ah, yes. Breaking and entering.
Objection.
Hang on, it's not like that at all. I wasn't trying to do anything illegal. I was trying to protect him. Trying to protect him? What would you do if you thought a ghost was targeting your best friend? Would you just sit around and wait for something bad to happen? No. You'd go out there and try to do something about it. If I genuinely believed a ghost was after my someone, I'd be talking to some men in lab coats. Look. Sometimes you have to take matters into your own hands. I wasn't going to let anything bad happen to Udgy. I swore on it. Of course, in the end, it didn't matter anyways. The quack turned me down, saying to my face that ghosts aren't real. What kind of paranormal investigator goes around saying stuff like that? My guess is one with a surprising amount of integrity. Either that or one looking for a change of career. He's going to need a new one if he keeps saying things like that. A paranormal investigator who doesn't believe in ghosts? What if that person is closer than we think? AKA poll the jury. Would that person be able to shed some light on the situation? In any case, I believe we must move on from this. Please continue your testimony, defendant. Your testimony, defendant. So you didn't know that he was overseeing a trial at the time? I can't really say I did, no. As a judge, my schedule is rather busy between trials and paperwork. I can't go and get myself preoccupied with other judges' schedules. However, I'd like to believe that still wouldn't have changed anything. Oh? Why not? Let's imagine a scenario where you're in your dinky lawyer office. The agency isn't that small. Imagine you're working on paperwork for one of your previous trials. Then all of a sudden, wham! You hear a loud noise coming from the next office over. What would you do in that situation? I think I'd be compelled to check it out. Precisely. Still, I don't think I'd go as far as to rip the door off its hinges. Okay, maybe I'd be a bit calmer if I knew Edgy was safe. But I'd still be absolutely sure that ghosts are at work. That's your go-to for everything, isn't it? Sort of machine's busted. Guess it must be ghosts. Of course, it doesn't really matter when you say what you say your reasons were that day. No matter what your excuse is, it all leads back to the same conclusion. The only one with the opportunity to kill Corey Rupture was you.
Objection.
I swear I didn't see Rupture at all that day. He didn't show up to court, then I found him dead. And so his theory of how it happened is clearly wrong. But he's some way to prove what really happened. No matter how much we tell him that. No matter how much we tell him that what he claims is impossible, Judge Eerie keeps sticking with the same story no matter what. Fortunately, all it's doing is making him look completely insane. Trying to convince him of what really happened will take a lot of doing. Definitely not something I have been able to do on my own. Heck, even if I had someone's help, it might not be impossible to change his mind. However, it might help to open up a new possibility. And that new possibility might just give me an opening. Alright, let's pull the jury. Your Honor, I would like to hear what the jury thinks about this statement. Very well, Mr. Wright, if you would please. Sure thing, Your Honor. What do you guys think? A paranormal investigator? I remember hiring one a few years back. There was a disturbance at the orphanage. The children kept reporting strange happenings. So it's true? Ghosts are real? Of course not. They turned out to be two young boys pulling pranks on the others. You needed an investigator for that? Ah, yes. Any paranormal investigator worth their salt would say the same. Just like I told the defendant at the time. Ghosts are not real. There are many supernatural phenomena out there. Ghosts are not one of them. Wait. Hang on a minute. Jurist 6, what did you just say? Ghosts aren't real? No, before that. Said something about talking with a defendant about something. So I did. I think I just uncovered something big. Jurist 6, the paranormal investigator that the defendant hired. That was you, wasn't it? Yes, I was the one he hired to investigate the neighboring chambers. Would you look at that? Order. This is the first I've heard about this. I certainly hope there is no conflict of interest going on. Rest assured, Mr. Edgeworth, I only met with the defendant that one time. I hold no previous grudges or admiration for the man. You can trust me to be unbiased. That said, it's true that Judge Eerie was rather stubborn with accepting my findings. That's what I should be. Saying right to my face that ghosts aren't real when I've seen the proof for myself. Yes. Case where a spirit medium summoned a spirit in the middle of a courtroom. I believe I've explained this already. Spirits and ghosts are two different things. A spirit needs a medium to interact with the living world, while a ghost has no such limitations. So glad to see someone has done their homework. Maybe that someone from beyond the grave could interact with the world on its own. Why, it's completely preposterous.
Objection.
But how else do you explain what happened? The murderer killed Rupture, then vanished without a trace. How else do you explain that if ghosts weren't involved? Brings up a good point. Where exactly did the killer go after they killed Coy Rupture? Indeed, that is something you must answer to progress your case, Mr. Justice. Do you think you have an answer? I have to really think about this. The reason why the killer vanished after the murder was because this is a bit ghost hiding disguised. It's not exactly the answers I was expecting here. We can work with this. So there's only one, the obvious answer to the how the killer escaped thing here is, the, one of Nox's commandments that the case breaks. Which, by the way, there's a comment from one of the developers on the, part 3 of this series, explaining that the, competition in question that this case won had 2 tasks. One being break one of Nox's commandments, one being follow one of Nox's commandments. In this case, the one they broke was... there must be only one secret passage. So there's obviously... the second secret passage, and that feels obvious to be the answer of why... what happened to the killer after the murder. We'll say hiding. Maybe they were hiding downstairs in the library. The answer to this riddle is very simple. The killer went into hiding shortly after the murder. Well, that doesn't make any sense. The killer would have been found by now if that were the case. What do you mean? The crime scene was thoroughly searched by the police after the murder. Assuming for the sake of argument that the defendant's account is the truth, there's been someone in the room from the moment the defendant walked in. Needless to say, there aren't many places to hide at the crime scene. Not many places, try none. Fact is, there are no real places for the killer to have hidden after the murder. The only way in and out was through my office, too. Of course, I didn't see anybody in my office during the time of the murder. But so it's not like they could have escaped the crime scene at all. In short, it was impossible for the killer to hide anywhere after the murder. The only explanation is that the killer faced the walls because they're a ghost. Finally. A long time coming, but I think at last I just saw the opening I needed. Well, defense, what do you think of Judge Eerie's argument? The defendant's statement is extremely important, Your Honor. The defense requests that it be added to his testimony. Very well. Do please, defendant. This is it. This is where I turn this case around. Nobody was able to find the real killer after the murder, true. That's a big leap from that to saying it was the work of ghosts. But there is no other way to explain how the killer left the crime scene. Nobody saw anything else in the room the entire time. Not me, not Archie, not Edgeworth, and none of the investigators either. But that's not proof that the killer is a ghost. Can't you see that the killer won't accept your ghost stories? If you continue defending yourself with impossible claims, you'll be found guilty. Now, this entire court is filled with nothing but fools. I know I'm innocent, boy, and I know what must be true if I'm innocent. If the court refuses to accept reality, then that's on them. Who's the one not accepting reality here? So the obvious... I made a point of saying that there is one commandment that has to be broken, and one commandment that has to be followed religiously and drawn attention to. So, the secret turnabout obviously breaks Nox's third. Not more than one secret room or passage is allowable. I feel like the one that it follows religiously and harps on is all supernatural or preternatural agencies are ruled out as a matter of course. So it upholds number 2 religiously. We're not going to have any ghosts here. We have thoroughly explained the difference between spirit mediums and ghosts multiple times. Thoroughly rebuked there being ghosts, so the only course of action now is to actually explain what Eerie saw. And we will, in due time, I have no doubt. I have faith. It's no use, Mr. Justice. Eerie is a man who is not so easily persuaded with words alone. His heart is dead set on accusing a ghost for the crimes he has committed. If you listened to every reason, you'd see I had nothing to do with this. Why can't you see the truth right in front of you? This court has had enough of your ramblings. Ghosts are not real. Even the paranormal investigator in the jury room agrees. However, it's clear that you don't care what anyone here has to say about this. Is that right, Mr. Justice? Edgeworth is right, of course. The time for talking is over. There's only one way to break Judge Eerie out of his delusions now. Time to present some evidence. Alright, so... Let's present the second passage. I found this evidence. I just knew. Knew it had to play a role in what happened that day. Didn't expect just how important it would end up being. That it would be the key to this entire case. Defense, if there's something you wanted to say, don't mind me, I was just narrating from the future. Of course, Your Honor. Requalerie, you claimed that there was nowhere for the killer to hide after the murder. Correct. If they'd been hiding, the police would have found them by now. Not entirely sure about that. All you need is the right hiding spot.
Objection.
But truly, no such hiding spots exist, right? I wouldn't be so sure about that. I'd like the court to take a look at this. It's the fireplace in my brother's chambers. During my investigation yesterday, I came privy to the knowledge of this fireplace and the secret passage that it holds. The secret passage? Are you saying? A long time ago, there was a library built beneath the courthouse. It was never used, however, and turned into a Cold War bunker. All along, there's been a second secret passage at the crime scene, and the hiding place the killer chose after killing Coy Rupture. Something that's been underneath our feet this entire time. And that is the truth behind our vanishing killer. Order the court.
Objection.
What manner of witchcraft? Sorcery? What the? Never heard anything of a secret bunker under the courthouse. Indeed, this is news to me as well. I guess as to why you never heard of it before is because it was built during the Cold War. When the Cold War ended, so too did the need to use it as a safety bunker, thus allowing it to remain a secret for all of time. I suppose you think you have it all figured out, don't you, Mr. Justice? He's so calm. Did he know all along about the fireplace passage? Very well then, Mr. Justice. Let's hear your theory about what happened that day. Very well. As we know, there are 3 ways into the crime scene. First and most obvious is just going through the main door. However, that door was locked at the time of the murder. That's correct, Your Honor. My brother had a trial during the time and locked the main entrance. Since it remained locked until the body was discovered, you can safely say that the entrance was never used. The second entrance was, of course, the bookcase passage. This passage was available for anyone to use during the trial Judge Eerie was presided over. However, this passageway was closed when Judge Eerie used it to enter the scene. Well, true, that's not proof it was never used at all. Finally, we have our third entrance into the room. The newly discovered fireplace passage. The entrance leading into the underground bunker. Precisely, Your Honor. All we need to do is figure out which entrances the killer and the victim used. Well then, Mr. Justice, let's see what you've come up with. Let's start with the victim. What entrance did they use to enter the crime scene? Bookcase? Given everything we know up to this point, I think the answer is obvious. The day of the crime, the victim entered through the bookcase passage. And why are you so sure? Let's consider what happened that day, Your Honor. The day of the murder, Coy Rupture was supposed to appear in court, defending one of his clients during an embezzlement trial. However, he did not appear. I think what he was doing during that time is fairly obvious. He broke into Judge Eerie's chambers and entered the crime scene. Exactly, Your Honor. We have the exact knowledge of when he'd be able to do such a thing, given he was a part of the trial itself. It explains how the victim got into the crime scene. Now all that's left is the killer. Alright, Mr. Justice, it's time for round 2. You figured out how the victim did it. Now how did the killer enter the crime scene? Through the fireplace? I think the answer is very clear here. The way the killer entered the crime scene is the exact same way they left it. You mean... Of course, Your Honor. They left through the fireplace passage. Consider the facts. The day of the murder, everyone seen walking into the courthouse had an alibi. This This means nobody must have seen the real killer that day. Think about why, then the reason is obvious. So the killer was hiding underneath the courthouse even before the murder. I see. Though your theory leaves quite a few implications about the crime. Firstly, that this crime was a premeditated murder. And secondly, because the killer and victim entered through different entrances, they must have agreed to meet up in the courthouse beforehand. This would have to be true, yes. What reason the killer and victim made up is a mystery right now. I think the jury will agree that we can't reach a verdict without all these lingering questions. Concur. It seems there is more we need to look into. There we go. That should buy me an extra day of investigation. Just to follow this lead and see where it takes me. That will be all. This court is... Edgeworth, what do you know? My apologies for the interruption, Your Honor. However, I feel it a bit premature to end today's trial here. Edgeworth? What is he planning? Premature? What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? It's simple, Your Honor. The defense's theory is lacking in one area. What? What one area? Proof. Evidence. Anyone? Have you just see the defense back up their theory with any decisive evidence? Without it, their theory is mere speculation, nothing more. No, come on, I'm so close. The prosecution does bring up a good point. We have yet to see any proof that the fireplace passage was used at all. That is, unless the defense is willing to provide proof to back up their claims. Come on, that's so unfair. How am I possibly supposed to prove that someone used the bunker? Wait. Hold on a second. If I remember correctly, there was something out of place I found yesterday. What is your response? Your Honor, the defense is willing to present evidence. Evidence that proves that if there was a third party in the underground bunker. Very well, then let's not stall any longer. Provisions? Provisions. My logic is correct. The killer was someone who was hiding in the bunker ahead of time, so they could avoid being seen on that day. Yes, we've established that. With that in mind, I'd like the court to have a look at this. What are those? Oh, what are those? It looks like a pile of clothes, a blanket, and those snacks the detective likes. That's exactly what they are, Your Honor. I discovered these items during my investigation yesterday. What's important about these provisions are where they were found. Ah, do you mean to suggest? That's right, Your Honor. There is no doubt that there was a third party staying in the bunker for some time. After all, that's exactly where these provisions were found. Order. It's incredible to believe, but it seems the defense's claims have some truth behind them. Discovery of this second secret passage really has changed this entire case. Let's discover who those provisions belong to at once. Ha! Let us see Edgeworth respond to that. Objection! He is not rattled at all. Finally. What? He's completely unfazed. This is where our difference in experience comes into play, Mr. Justice. What are you saying, Mr. Edgeworth? Of course. Why didn't I see it earlier? I went down to check out the bunker. Emma was with me, too. There's no way she didn't tell him about what we found down there. Ah. Edgeworth, he just led me into a trap. And I fell for it without even questioning it. Well played. There actually won't be any need to check who these provisions belong to. Do you mean to say you already know who they belong to? These are Judge Eerie's, aren't they? Naturally, Your Honor. Why'd you not present this information earlier? That's very simple, Your Honor. I thought it was irrelevant. Evidence law. Oh! Evidence law is the main reason? This of evidence had already been decided before the provisions were found. Meaning the only way I'd be able to present this evidence would be for you to prove its relevance to this case. Precisely. I was previously incapable of proving this evidence's relevance to the case. That is, until the defense did so for me. I don't like where this is going. Unless it's Corey ruptures. Very well, Mr. Edgeworth. The default accept this explanation. Now then, please tell us the results of what you found. Of course, Your Honor. There are a few hair strands on the clothes found in the bunker. Naturally, the prosecution has taken the liberty of performing a DNA test on these strands. And the results, Mr. Edgeworth? Hair found on the clothes belong to Corey Rupture. Called it. What the fuck he was doing living in the basement? What? The clothes belong to the victim? But that completely changes everything. Indeed it does, Your Honor. Defense theorized that the victim used the bookcase passage. The killer used the fireplace passage. However, this proves that the reverse was actually true, which means Judge Eerie, hello. The victim was the one who used the fireplace passage, while the killer was the only one that day who used the bookcase passage. Yes, it could be no other than the defendant, Judge Eerie. Yeah! Well played, Edgeworth. GG. Order. Order. No, I can't believe it. He destroyed my argument in a single blow. No, you have it all wrong. It wasn't me. It was the ghosts. I swear it. I killed him. Oh, you poor fool. I think it's about time you put that argument to bed, Judge Eerie. All the evidence points toward you. If the court would allow the prosecution to revise its theory based on this new evidence. Very well. Proceed, Mr. Edgeworth. Corey Rupture did not make an appearance during the embezzlement trial that day. Reason why now should now be obvious to everyone. He's actually underneath the courthouse in the bunker. At some point after that trial, Corey Rupture came up into the crime scene. It was at this point that Judge Eerie must have heard this happen. The defendant became frightened and went to check out the noise. In his haste, he ripped the bookcase off its hinges. Ridiculously. At this point, the victim and defendant must have gotten into an argument. Whether the argument was about the victim refusing to show up to court, or about him trespassing in the chambers of Judge Eerie's dear friend, is unclear. What is clear is that the altercation soon turned violent. It was then that Judge Eerie made an important decision. He would not let the trespasser leave with his life. Took a rope and used it to strangle the victim. However, his sheer strength ended up breaking the victim's neck. Yes, that does line up with what we've heard so far. It's not good. Judge Eerie's looking guiltier than ever. I do. I have to think of something. You can raise an objection, or it's hopeless. Yeah, it's hopeless. I can't think of anything. Part of his case is completely airtight. There's only one piece of the puzzle left. What's that, Mr. Edgeworth? I'd like the court to look closely at the autopsy report. It states that the victim received a head wound post-mortem. The explanation for this head wound is rather chilling. During their struggle, the defendant did not yet realize he had killed the victim. And so, to finish the job, he slammed the victim's head into the fireplace. No, I would never do that to anybody! Mr. Justice, help me! There's nothing I can do. This key is perfect. I can't find any holes anywhere. This is the truth of the matter. I never would have been able to find this truth without you, Mr. Justice. Would have been unable to prove the relevance of the fireplace passage. I should not put the pieces together yourself. From the bottom of my heart, I give you my deepest gratitude, Apollo Justice. No! I believe we have finally reached the end of a very long road. It would seem that way, Your Honor. Well, it gives me no pleasure to say it at all. The truth is that Judge Eerie is the true culprit of this crime. The evidence presented today makes it abundantly clear. Is there really nothing I can do? I've exhausted every possibility, but I can't refute Edgeworth's claims. Is this really how it ends? The prosecution and the defense have both fought admirably. The decision of the verdict is now out of our hands. with no more arguments, to be made, and now rests on the jury to decide the defendant's fate. I trust, of course, that they will come to the right decision. Members of the jury, the decision is now yours. This can't be happening. The jury reaches a verdict now. There's no doubt they'll find him guilty. Members of the jury, have you reached a verdict? We have, Your Honor. The vote is unanimous. The vote is unanimous. We, the jury, find the defendant, her Judge Eerie. Wow, that was quick. It's over. Judge Eerie, I'm sorry. I tried my hardest, but it wasn't enough. Failed. Follow, chin up. Worst of times, when lawyers have to force their biggest smiles. That's... What, did you just forget I was here? Well, yeah, actually. A little bit of advice is what someone I looked up to once told me. Thought you could use it right about now. Where's my biggest smile? You know, it's funny. A little bit of advice he just gave me. Almost reminds me of what he used to say. Oh, hello. Remember, son, no matter what happens, a dragon never yields. In many ways, what he said to me all those years ago defined who I am. Always tried my best to live up to the names of those who inspired me. But I never felt like I could. The worst of times when lawyers have to force their biggest smiles. And how can I force a smile at a time like this? The dragon never yields. I've exhausted every option. I can't go any further. I can't live up to their standards. Is that why you left me? Was I just not good enough? Oh no. It doesn't really matter what I do anyways. Smile or frown. Yield or not. The trial's over. There's nothing else I can do. Pull yourself together, Apollo Justice. The verdict being called doesn't mean your job is done. What? What does that mean? He's right, Mr. Justice. You still have yet to perform your summation examination. What? Summation examination? Don't tell me Wright didn't fill you in on the details. Hey, I was short on time, all right. That's Mr. Wright for you. Yes, well, I suppose it's up for us to explain it. All right. This time it's not a right we can invoke, it's a natural part of the process. In this new iteration of the Jurist System, we do not stop at merely the verdict. Now, jurors will be required to give their reasoning for their specific vote. From there, both sides then begin their closing arguments. Closing arguments? A final chance for both attorneys to sway any jury members to their side. Ah. The defense and prosecution make one final argument to plead their case. Indeed, both the defense and prosecution make their last stand in their closing arguments. However, the current losing side has one more trick they can use during closing arguments. The summation examination. Correct. The current losing side may choose to directly address the jury themselves and ask them for further clarification on their reasoning. However, it should be noted that no further evidence shall be submitted while closing arguments are happening. What? That's so unfair. Can we get to a point where we can continue the trial? Rest assured, Mr. Justice, there's a way to... yes! There's a way to continue the trial if that's what worries you. Indeed. At least half the jury changes their votes. The jury's declared hung, and the trial proceedings will continue. The jury is declared hung. Too soon, bro. Too soon. That's it. I can convince the jury to change their votes. I can turn this trial around. Now then, it's time for us to call upon the jurors one last time. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, please explain your reasoning. Oh. Whoa, wow, alright. Nice, sweet graphic, alright. Jurors' contentions. This fantasy is big and scary. I wouldn't want to near the children. Oh dear. There are only 2 possible places to enter. A third party's impossible. Well, that's a lie. This case is starting to bring back bad memories. I feel queasy. Oh dear. I'm glad Aiden wasn't on this case. It seems absolutely hopeless for the defendant. Ghosts. What a strange man the defendant is. Mr. Gambit doesn't need to rely on that. Hey, folks, this ain't about him. I thoroughly examined the chambers. There's no sign of supernatural activity there. I can't help but notice that not all of those arguments hold equal weight. It's not up to us to decide what the jurors' reasons are. What we can do now is try to sway the decisions. Okay, but how? Not allowed to present any new evidence. How can I sway the jury? Can tell what you're thinking, Mr. Justice. Thanks, Edgeworth. To answer your question, I think I might know a way. You might not be able to present any evidence during the summation examination. That doesn't mean you still can't find contradictions. Contradictions? Yes, but instead of the contradictions between the evidence and the testimonies, would instead be the contradictions between the statements of the jurors. Set to swanky jazz music. So if I present the profile of a juror on the statement of another juror... Oh, okay. That's how we pit. I can pit 2 jurors' statements against each other. But why would Edgeworth give me that kind of advice? Possible? Getting me to this point was his true intention all along? Of course, why didn't I think of it sooner? We're putting the system through its paces. There's no way Mr. Wright, this barred lawyer, could do all this on his own. Edgeworth has been helping him set up the Jurist System all along. His goal was always to get me to this point where I'd have to rely on my closing argument. Also, I could test the biggest addition to the Jurist System, the Summation examination. Now the defense is ready, they may begin their Summation examination. Pit jurors against each other by presenting their profiles. The problem is I don't see any statements that contradict each other. Maybe pressing the jurors will open up that opportunity. Worst of times are when lawyers have to force their biggest smiles, huh? Defense is ready to begin, Your Honor. Alright. I'm fine, I can do this. After all, a dragon never yields. Do examination. I like the graphics. God, that's so cool. Defense's rebuttal, alright. It's true that the defendant is a rather large man, but don't you think judging him by his size alone is a bit prejudiced? Oh, well, I suppose it would be on its own. But really, it's less his size and more his intimidating presence. Intimidating presence. Ooh, how do I best describe it? Well, he just seems to have this very stern, cold look he constantly gives people. Definitely seems like someone I wouldn't want to be on the bad side of. It's true that the defendant can appear rather intimidating at times. But right now, he's clearly just scared out of his wits. Besides, the prosecution has made one thing very clear. Only someone with great strength could have committed this crime. The defendant's strength, well, it's already been well proven at this point. By that logic, any strong person could have committed the crime. The defendant's strength alone is not enough to determine his guilt. Ah, I suppose that's true. Ha. Got her on the ropes now. Oi, what are you playing at? Oh, look, an interjection to my favorite juror. What is it now, Juror 2? Watch your tone, kid, if you really want to know. Not just the defendant's size that's a point of contention here. That's right. It's true that any strong man could have feasibly committed the crime. It's that in conjunction with all the other evidence against the defendant. After all, the defendant is the only strong man with access to the crime scene. So my reasoning still stands. Damn it! I was this close to convincing her. Still, this talk about the defendant's strength has me wondering something. Is strength really as important of a factor in this crime as we think it is? The defendant certainly could have accidentally broken the victim's neck. That's only if the crime happened as Edgeworth described it. Fortunately, I really don't have any alternative solutions in mind. However, if one did pop up, it would completely turn things around. I guess that's just something I'll have to be on the lookout for. Alright. Talking about the 2 secret passages, right? Ha! Or I possibly referring to anything else? Let's really examine those possibilities in detail. It's really out of the question that a third party used one of the two passages. You wish, but it all falls apart if you really think about it. Well, let's start first with the bookcase passage. There's a point in the trial in time that the third party could have used it without getting caught. It's really so impossible for the killer to have used it during that time. If only were that simple for you. There's no way a third party used it. Why not? Really think about it. There's only one time anyone could have entered it through that passage. During the embezzlement trial. Which means in order to use the passage, the third party would have had to know the defendant wasn't going to be there at that time. Which means it'd have to be someone directly involved with the trial. I guess that's what that would have to mean, yes. But the victim was the only one for that trial who didn't show up that day. He was the only feasible one who could have used that bookcase passage. And yet we now know that he was in the secret bunker. Revisions Emma and I found our proof of that. That one fact also makes a third party using the fireplace passage impossible as well. Huh? Wait, why? Really think about it. In order to use that passage, someone would first have to be in the bunker. As we all know, the victim was camping out down there. Huh. I think I get what you're hinting at. Wondering why the killer wouldn't just kill Corey Rupture then and there, in the bunker. Exactly, that's what I'm getting at. It would be a much easier spot to commit murder for starters. It would be a much better place to hide the body, too. Anyway you slice it, there really is no room for a third party at all. You know, I hate to admit it, but he's... worst person on the planet has a point. Despite the fact he's the most annoying juror, his argument's well-reasoned. Still, it does make me question further. Of all the places to commit murder, why would anyone choose a judge's chambers? This is all so confusing. Corollary response there, being that there's some things that they wanted to have caught. I think I've made my point quite clear. There's no way a third party could have used one of the entrances that day. True, the evidence suggests that all the possible entrances are out of the question. Two secret entrances are unlikely, and the main entrance was locked. Still, I can't just give up like that. The real killer must have some way of getting into that room. Is it possible there's just something we're overlooking? If there's anyone who'd give us any more insight about those chambers, any information they could give me would be highly valuable. This is very well signposted. What exactly are these bad memories? Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I should explain myself. A long time ago, like a really long time ago, I was a witness for a murder case. See, there was a rivalry between two other actors who ate each other's guts. Will Powers, is this you? I don't remember the details, but there's a woman caught up in their rivalry. What happened to this woman? She, committed suicide. Will Powers, what are you doing here? Oh, dear. That's very tragic. Well, suicide basically kicked the rivalry between the actors up to 11. Then one day, one of the actors was found dead in his hotel room. So it was his murder that the case reminds you of? Yeah. There are a lot of things both murderers have in common. Both victims were strangled, and their bodies were both wounded after they died. Well, Mr. Rupture didn't die of strangulation, but that's besides the point. How exactly did that trial end? Guilty. He was also saddled with a kidnapping charge to boot. A kidnapping charge, too? Yeah, he kidnapped a young girl and held her hostage to get a not guilty verdict. Didn't work, though. The girl was rescued and he confessed to the crime. I'm sorry, that sounds like a very stressful trial. However, are you sure that what happened then isn't clouding your judgment of this case? What do you mean? You were witnessing a traumatic case a long time ago. A case in which the defendant was found guilty. And now a new case comes along that reminds you of the old one. You might be conflating the guilt of the defendant in that case to this one. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Please forgive me. What? Oh, grow up, you big baby. Don't be such a pushover. Not like there's no reason to suspect the defendant. Though they don't manipulate you like that. Oh. Sorry. You're right. I'm sorry, Mr. Justice, but I'll need something more concrete to change my opinion. Damn it, I'm so close. So I'm gonna have to find another way to change his mind. Can't help but think that case he described sounds familiar. Maybe I should read through more of Mr. Wright's old case files after this trial is over. State versus on guard. Could you please focus on the trial at hand right now? What? Hey, I was still talking about the trial. Only tangentially. I'm sure there will be time to discuss Mr. Gambit later, Juror 4. Right now our focus should be on the murder of Corey Rupture. Are you saying I'm unfocused? Is that it? I'll come down there and put you into focus. What do you think about that? Hell hath no fury indeed! Whoa, whoa, hey, get hold of yourself. Deep breaths. I'm fine. I'm fine. I won't lash out anymore against the Hornhead. Oh no. Mommy! Look, what I'm saying is that you have your work cut out for you, Mr. Justice. Prosecutors have been able to beat down any alternative theories you proposed. They've managed to hold steadfast on their case with only minimal changes. We don't want to see Aiden get stuck with this case, not after last time. You mean when he crashed and burned? Hey, it's okay. No lawyer can win every case. We're just having an off day. I'll bounce back from it. He has to. Do I need to give you a moment? She's been pretty distraught since the larceny trial. You could really see her face drop when Mr. Gambit nearly lost the case. What I understand, he basically already has. Under that trial, he's basically waiting to be pronounced guilty. He'll be fine. He'll be just fine. He'll be fine. Leave Aiden alone. Maybe I should just move on to something else. I could never have a normal trial. Juror 5. What does Aiden Gambit have to do with ghosts? Oh, I forgot that you weren't there at the time. The larceny trial, the prosecution kept accusing Mr. Gambit of arguing that it was a ghost who committed the crime. And was he... No, it was so unfair. The bald prosecutor kept using it to try and discredit his arguments over and over again. That's really frustrating to watch after a while. That certainly does sound frustrating. Sort of way, it's almost sort of ironic. Really, after seeing a trial where the prosecution kept making false claims about that, get to be involved in a trial where somebody is claiming a ghost committed the crime. A small world after all. Still, don't you find it a bit strange? Huh? Find what strange? The defendant kept hearing strange noises every night for the past week. And then suddenly, one fateful day, Corey Rupture winds up dead nearby. And obviously I'm not saying it was ghosts or anything. It seems like more than a coincidence to me. Well, normally I'd be inclined to agree, but the defendant has shown that he's a bit, well, how do I want to put this? Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs? We'll just say that we need to take what he says with a grain of salt. Yep, my client's reputation really isn't helping matters. Still, I wonder if it's possible that he actually did hear something. Of course, that just begs the question, what exactly did Judge Eerie hear? Well, I can find the answer to that question. And this one's what we're waiting for here. You investigated the chambers. That's correct. Even if I did believe in the defendant's ghost stories, I still wanted to make sure nothing odd was going on in the courthouse. And you must have some doubts, right? You went as far as to perform an investigation for the defendant. That's far enough. As I said, I didn't believe in the defendant's ghost stories. However, I knew he wouldn't believe me until I could prove what was really going on. And so about a week ago, I started searching that room from top to bottom. Left no stone unturned. Not even that underground library. Wait, you knew about the hidden fireplace passage? Oh, it just occurred to me that I failed to mention that earlier. That was an error in judgment on my part. I apologize. I would have helped out a lot sooner, buddy. Still, if you knew about the sacred passages, that begs the question. How exactly did you learn about the underground bunker? That's incredibly simple to explain, my boy. You see, because I was hired by a judge, I technically had special permissions. Looking at documents that are otherwise restricted to the public. This included a full set of blueprints from the courthouse itself. Blueprints, you say? You think that's how the victim found out about the bunker as well? I'd certainly say it's a distinct possibility. However, it should be noted that I never saw the victim during my investigation. So the victim must have only started camping in the bunker after Jurist 6's investigation. What exactly were the results of your investigation? Oh, well, my investigation didn't reveal anything too interesting. was a suspicion I had the moment I got hold of the blueprints. More than likely, the sound was coming from some unused vents above the chambers. What? Unused vents? Yes, it seems like they've been there since the courthouse was built. However, better forms of ventilation have made them obsolete. They've likely been subject to wear and tear over the years, being so old and all. He explained to the defendant that this was likely what was causing the noise. I see. What offense? Do you find what Juror 6 said to be very important? Yeah, of course. We're not just going to let something go. It's incredibly important. Requested his reasoning be updated to include this new information. Very well, if you please. And Juror number 6? Just a hunch at this point. This could be where I finally start to turn things around. Jurors are actually absolutely convinced of the defendant's guilt. I don't think anything I say will convince them otherwise. Welcomes back to the secret passageways. Wait, set up now. Judge Eerie was the one who used the bookcase passageway, while Croy Rupture was the only one to use the fireplace passage. On the surface, it seems like there was no opportunity for a third party to enter the scene. Still, if Judge Eerie really is innocent, the third party must have entered the room somehow. All I needed is a way to open up an opportunity for a third party to enter the scene. That could be enough to sway the jury over. Let's think about this for a bit. We'll think about this and come back to finish up another time. Until then, though,